General quarters.
Awaiting instructions. ship foundered. Battle ends in 5 minutes.